Hello, Bill.
Good morning, Matt.
Congratulations to you and your Chicago Cubs, Bill Scher, on a World Series
My
championship.
Chicago Cubs.
Huge
When did
fan,
I take
right?
ownership of the Cubs?
No, this was an amazing game. I was not up watching it, but it went 10 innings. There was even a rain delay. And
I actually watched. This is my first sporting event of 2016 because I haven't gotten around to
you
the
picked a really good
Aussie
game
Rules
to
Football
watch
Grand Final
because
yet.
It was 8-7, Game 7 of the World Series. It doesn't get closer than that.
No, it was a fantastic game, but I'm not on the Cubs train. They are owned by Trump donors.
Oh, that's right. I saw you pushing back at somebody on Twitter. Somebody from Bustle. They were saying that they were glad the Cubs were going to win because the Indians have a politically incorrect logo. Chief
Right.
Wazoo.
There's definitely a lot of animus on the left towards the Indians on that basis. But I at minimum, that is the wash for the left. You've now enriched the pockets of major Trump donors in the Ricketts family, and these are the worst kind of Trump donors. They were anti-Trump in the primary, and are now spending big for Trump now.
Are these the people who were supporting Kellyanne Conway and the Cruz super PAC, or different people?
I don't remember.
That's the Mercers. That's the Mercers.
No, right, the Mercers. These people in the primary, Trump threatened them on Twitter.
That's right.
Saying he was going to, expose some dirty laundry of theirs. And these folks just, said, please, sir, may I have some more? And are now spending millions on them. So,
The amazing thing is the Theo Epstein storyline. This guy, he's like the young... he's the general manager who... I think it's true that after the Red Sox wanted Billy Beane... they went to this younger guy, Theo Epstein, and he takes them, I guess in 2004, to their first World Series and who knows how many years, and breaks that curse. And then he goes to Chicago and breaks the curse of the GOAT. So the curse of the Bambino and the curse of the GOAT. This guy is obviously headed to Cooperstown, no doubt about that.
I would think so. But I have some Ohio roots. My father was born in Cleveland, grew up in Toledo, so I would have liked to see his Indians get the trophy. And again, no love for Trump donors, so I'm not. I'm not celebrating today.
Cleveland has a lot to be proud. They had a great year this year, and I take back all the bad things I wrote about them. They put on a great convention, a lot to be proud of, Cleveland. So good for you. It was a nail biter. It came down to extra innings in the seventh inning, and Bill, I'm starting to think that may be a harbinger of things to come.
Well, I've seen some tweets because I guess Nate Silver at one point said, the Cubs have a slightly better chance of winning the World Series than Trump does of winning the White House. This was after Cleveland was up 3-1, and so people are now retweeting that out. But the parallel doesn't.
I'm guilty of that as well. I've tweeted that twice.
The parallel doesn't work because the Cubs, I correct me if I'm wrong, the Cubs I know had the best regular season record. I assume they probably had the best season record throughout the season. So they were a front runner the whole time. In the presidential election, Trump has been losing the race the entire time. So he's
true, but that's true. But when the Cubs were down 3-1, Nate Silver said that the odds of the Cubs coming back from a 3-1 deficit are about the same as the odds that Trump would win.
I have a secret for you, Matt. Nate Silver is not God. Just because Nate Silver makes a glib apples to oranges statistical comparison on Twitter does not mean that he's predicting and guaranteeing a Trump victory.
Bill, I will not sit here and allow you to blaspheme Nate Silver. And if this continues, I'm going to have to end this early. I don't want to have to do that. I strive to be professional here. But this is like the time that Dan Rather attacked George H.W. Bush. I'm not going to have it. But no, look, I tell you what, you and I both have made our Senate and presidential electoral college picks. And I have to say, I'm very nervous about my picks. Like, I assumed that, I assumed a week or so ago that we would just kind of pretend this race was close because that's good for business. But we would all sort of know that Hillary was going to win, and that would bring us to, regardless of who you're rooting for, if you have any rooting interest at all, that would bring a sense of, like, calmness to this and maybe a little bit of rest. But I think this is now getting very dicey. I'm very nervous about my predictions, and Trump has tremendous momentum. This thing is he is closing as we tape this. Anything could happen, but as we tape this, he is closing incredibly strong. So I am not confident in the. I made the picks because I pledged I would, but I'm not confident in these picks.
I don't think you're nervous about your picks. I think you're nervous because you're worried Trump's going to win, and you do not want him to win.
Well, I don't want anybody to win, but I am nervous that
I don't know if you'd be sounding this way if it was Hillary. There's a different tone in your voice. You would prefer it in your deepest of deep hearts that Hillary Clinton becomes president.
Bill, no. Here's the problem. I have gone. So if I have a stake in this, it is that I have predicted all along that Hillary Clinton was going to win. I don't want to allow that to bias my coverage, but there's I think you're right. There is a chance. I think there's an increasing chance that Trump could win, and that will mean. Look, I wrote a column that went up today at Roll Call that I wrote yesterday. That's premised on the notion that Hillary is going to win, that I am feeling less comfortable with today than I felt yesterday when I wrote it. So that's what's making me a little bit worried about this. This is it's been an amazing year, and it may go 10 innings. And by the way, let me just say this: when I was playing around with this map, we were doing the 270 to win. Other people use Real Clear Politics, whatever.
But the 270 to win lets you do your own map.
The 269 to 269 scenario is not absurd. I mean, it is entirely plausible that
there's a way you can construct it, and you basically he's
I've done it by accident. I've done it by accident, like not trying to do it.
Well, I looked at your map. I don't want you to go through it. Basically, if I took your map, if I remember correctly. If you gave New Hampshire back to Clinton, then you'd have a 269, right?
Let me see if I can do that here. I'm pulling it up. And by the way, it's 270towin.com. We're going to tweet out we're going to tweet from at DMZ show links and screenshots of our maps. So right now, Bill, I have Clinton with 274 electoral votes, and Trump with 264. If I give Hillary,
you'd have to flip New Hampshire and Northern Maine to be 269, 269.
Yeah. But look, I'm telling you, I'm looking at this map. There are several things I'm uncomfortable with. I gave Clinton Nevada. If I flip that one, Trump wins. If you flip with my map, if you take my map, everything in my map. But if Trump, if you flip Nevada from blue to red, Trump wins. With my map, if you flip Michigan from blue to red, Trump wins easily. With my map, all things being equal, if you flip Pennsylvania from blue to red, then Trump wins easily. So
did you give your top line?
So I'm predicting Hillary Clinton will win with 274 electoral votes, and Donald Trump will have 264. We'll be tweeting these out with links and screenshots from our Twitter feed at DMZ Show.
So which blue states do you give to Trump, and do you give Clinton any red states?
I have. Well, basically, I've got Trump winning Ohio. I've got Clinton winning Virginia. I've got Trump winning North Carolina. I do have Trump winning, as you mentioned, the Maine congressional district, and I give Trump New Hampshire. I just feel like there's a contrarianism and an ethos up in New Hampshire that I think the polls are tight, but I feel like Trump matches their attitude. I'm giving Hillary Colorado and New Mexico. I'm giving Trump Arizona. As I mentioned, I'm giving Hillary Nevada, but I think that could flip to Trump and then he wins. This is too close for comfort. I am when I did this map, I did it this morning, and I did not look at your map, any of your maps intentionally. I did not want to be biased. But I'm telling you, Bill, based on my map that I've created, all Trump has to do is flip one of these states, and he wins. And that makes me very nervous about my prediction.
So basically, as I look at your map, you don't give Clinton any red states. You're giving Trump of the blue states from 2012, Iowa, Ohio, Florida, New Hampshire, and Maine 2nd Congressional District.
And I tell you, Bill, I mean, and I think, for me, it's the way this race appears to be ending. It appears to be Trump is finishing, amazingly staying disciplined, and Hillary, this is. It's not quite 9/11 territory when she had her fainting spell at the 9/11 commemoration, but this is not a good time. Now I'll tell you the reason I'm giving her the edge because of reasons that we've cited this entire year. Number one, early voting. A lot of people already voted before the Comey revelations came out. Number two, I think Clinton has a superior turnout operation. And number three, I still feel like we're going to look back and say college-educated Republican women were the cohort that Trump could have gotten, and he went out of his way to turn them off, and that will be the story. So, but I'm telling you, man, I'm not. I really felt like I would be pretty confident at this point that it would be that I'd have to sort of feign. I think for business we'd have to pretend that it might be close. But I'm telling you, man, anyway. Talk me down. Talk me down, Bill.
well, I mean, you have some of the seeds of being talked in what you just said. If early voting mitigates the Comey revelation, if Clinton's turnout operation is vastly superior to Trump's, then these late breaking developments don't matter as much. I would go further and say there's not a lot of evidence that late breaking developments ever matter that much. Usually people's minds are pretty made up going into the final days. There's very few cases of shifts in the last couple of days. You could look maybe at 1980 Carter Reagan, but that was very unusual because they had one presidential debate in the last week of the election where Reagan
the Bush DUI story.
I mean, you can look at the Bush DUI as a possible example of a late break where Gore he was rising in the polls throughout the fall, starting from a weak place. It got pretty tight, and then you could argue that DUI revelation on Bush gave Gore the extra edge. Or you could argue Gore had a better ground game, or you could say it's a combination of both. But even there, that race was very close before then. Here's a situation where this race has not been close the entire time.
And I might dispute that. It's been despite the fact that Clinton has more often than not felt like she was winning, and that Trump has been on defense so much, it's been closer. It has. In terms of like points, like it'd be like Hillary's up. It feels like Hillary's winning by a landslide, but quite often she's up 4 or 5 points, and you just assume that was going to hold because there was no evidence to believe that Trump could be disciplined and could get his act together. Of course, there have been a couple of occasions, including the aforementioned 9/11 incident, health scare, where Trump briefly did go ahead, and it feels like we're revisiting a similar moment.
He was not actually ahead in the averages after the pneumonia. I mean, you have a few instances where the race got tight in the averages. One of them is the pneumonia video. One of them is the day after the Republican convention, and you have a brief period after the Democratic primary ended and the Bernie Sanders voters were particularly disgruntled. But these sort of pinch points in the overall graph, which have generally been, around a 5-6 point lead for Clinton. And even when it gets tight, it's never that Trump is clearing 50% or even coming near 50% in the averages. He's still lingering around 44, 45, which remains the case today. In the 2 most recent Big 5 polls, as I define them, which is CNN, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox. And when I say NBC, I mean NBC Wall Street Journal, not NBC Survey Monkey. There's only 2 of those that have come out post-Comey, and that's ABC Washington Post and CBS New York Times. And in the 4-way, it's Clinton up 2 in the ABC and up 3 in the CBS, and Trump is at 45 and 42. In the 2-way poll, it's Clinton's still up 2 and 3, with Trump at 47 in the ABC and 44 in the CBS. Clinton is in the mid to upper 40s in both. There are times she has cleared 50 in these major polls, and Trump never has. So you can see a rally effect within the Republican base around Trump after Comey. You don't really see him knocking on the door 50 and making inroads into the swing vote. So I based my prediction on a premise that either this pinch point will fade again by Election Day. I mean, the polls, the CBS poll that came out, CBS New York Times poll that came out today was taken from the 28th to the 31st of October. There's some indication, for example, Wisconsin poll that came out yesterday showed Trump winning on Friday in their polling and losing on Saturday and Sunday, suggesting some ephemeral nature to this. So if you assume that the spike is going to peter out again, you'll get back to where you were, generally speaking.
Well, I would say two things about that. One, in the past, there was an incident that led to the conversation being changed. So remember, after Hillary's health scare, there was a debate, and that changed. And then Donald Trump ended up becoming embroiled stupidly in the Machado story. And also, Hillary looked vigorous and healthy. She performed very well in that debate. There's no obvious built-in event that would change the subject. And so if Trump can stay disciplined, then we could end this campaign talking about Hillary's emails and the possibility of indictments and Anthony Weiner and Huma Abedin. And so, look, I think that it's amazing to think that Trump could be on offense essentially the last week or 10 days of this campaign, considering how seldom that happened.
But I think even if the worst case for Hillary is you have a drip from the FBI. We're seeing stories about interscene battles within the FBI and between the FBI and justice. So if that continues to happen for the next several days, you would have a dynamic like that. Even still, Clinton's war chest is double the size of Trump's. So the advertising, which is more likely to reach the less inclined, the non-news junkie, the low information voter. What are you seeing popping up on your YouTube video or on your Facebook page or on your reality TV show? That's more likely going to be a Clinton ad than a Trump ad. Plus you have the ground game factor on top of that, where this is where you don't really know how this impacts turnout. Maybe this is goosing Republican turnout, where they were kind of resigned a week ago, now they feel they got a shot at this. But that could very well lead to a boost in Democratic turnout, because they're less likely to be complacent, fearing a Trump victory. So that could all be a wash.
And maybe I'm. It's possible I'm overestimating the hype of Trump here. But look, I feel like, number one, obviously the Clinton campaign tried to change the narrative. They tried to do oppo dumps about Russia and about taxes, and the New York Times didn't take. We're still talking about the email story. You mentioned ads. I feel like ads are not mattering that much this cycle. So maybe I'll be wrong about that, but I don't think they're going to move that much. So in other words, the fact that there's a huge disparity in terms of money and ads matters less now than it might have even one cycle ago. And I think you are right about something, which is that I think that what's happened because of this Comey story is just that Republicans are coming home. I think that a microcosm of this could be found in Utah, where I think it seemed like Evan McMullin had some momentum and very well might have won Utah, and I don't think that's going to happen anymore since the Comey story came out. And I think that's like a microcosm of what we're seeing happen. So you basically end up having this polarized country where you've got Republicans coming home and voting Republican, Democrats coming home and voting Democratic. We have anecdotal evidence, at least, that African Americans in early voting do not appear to be turning out in the numbers that Democrats need or hope. It feels like the stars are aligning as much as they possibly could for Trump. And I guess maybe the X factor is these third parties, the Libertarian and the Green Party. Like, where do they pull votes from? I mean, I don't want to say it's another Ralph Nader, Pat Buchanan type situation, but that seems to be one variable that we have to consider right now.
Oh, yeah, but I don't know if it's going to tip. But I think there's a chance that if you are a soft Hillary voter and you're mad about the emails, that sort of pushes your negative button, then maybe you'll protest with a Johnson or a Stein. But the Trump voters, if they're more rally, that maybe there's less of a bleed off there. Right. But I think you're overstating the African American early turnout story. I've seen those stories. There seems to be some drop off, but I think it's short of them not getting what they need. They are still getting very healthy and above expectation Latino turnout, and Nevada in particular. Nate Cohn tweeting out. I'm sorry, not Nate Cohn. Harry Enton from 538 tweeting out this morning. Something like 60% of Nevada has already voted. Numbers consistent with a Clinton win, unless something funky is up. And Matt McDermott, who is
I give Hillary Nevada in my map, and as I said, it's still dicey. All it takes is flipping one of these other states, Anyway,
Mac McDermott, who is a analyst at Whitman Insight Strategies, says, we'll realistically know who won Nevada tomorrow if early vote trends continue. Dem GOTV working magic, turnout on par with an Obama 7-point win. So there's a Times story about how early voting is different state to state as far as what we're seeing. So not every state is going as well for Democrats as Nevada is. Right. But there's some evidence that, but I think it's pretty hard for Trump to win without Nevada and without Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvania has been very soft for Democrats, for Clinton, in all the polling that we've seen, even if there's a little bit of softening right now. So
the other thing I would say that has probably gotten me a little nervous is it's totally anecdotal, but just the last couple of days I'm just constantly seeing tweets. A poll in Colorado shows it neck and neck. A poll in Nevada shows it neck and neck. I Google, New Hampshire polling. It's neck and neck. Look, every everything I'm seeing now, maybe this is self-selective. I'm seeing it because it's close. Maybe the pollsters are things are. It really seems like things are tightening, and much more than I even. We always predicted it would tighten, but it does feel like tightening more than I would have thought.
Well, I think there is at least a temporary tightening, but it's not uniform across those state polls. Wisconsin, which came out yesterday, was a 6-point Clinton lead. CNN had Clinton up in Florida, where a number of polls had her down previously. And the Nevada poll is somewhat negated by these early vote numbers. But
it may be that I'm more likely to see tight polls, and it may be that provides an incentive for pollsters to provide us with tight polls as well. But anyway, you want to talk Senate?
Well, I haven't given you my prediction yet.
Well, I thought this was just about me. You've got predictions too?
I do.
No, I apologize. You sent me predictions. I didn't even look at them because I didn't want it to bias me. So, but no, please. I'll just recap real quick, just so I can compare me to you. So I have Clinton winning 274 to 264.
Right, and you essentially have Trump winning several blue states, and Clinton picking up nothing from the Republicans. I go pretty big on Clinton, 334 to 198. For fun, I'm going to give Epic McMullen the 6 in Utah. And so I give Trump Ohio and Iowa. But otherwise, I have Clinton holding the blue states, holding northern Maine, and giving her North Carolina and Arizona off of the red part of the map.
It goes without saying, our maps are incredibly divergent.
Right. So I think your thesis is based upon the snapshot of polling that we've had in the past couple of days, and assuming that holds. And I am premising mine on one that not holding up by Tuesday, and the Clinton ground game being a significant difference in even if it does get tight. That's sort of my fallback position, even if I'm wrong about the national polling, that I don't think. So even if you're saying Nevada's dead even, Colorado's dead even, Pennsylvania's now 4 points, Ohio is a slight Trump lead, I don't think Trump has the machinery to exploit that possibility and turn it into actual victories.
So do you think, it sounds like you're saying that you think that the national popular vote might be fairly close, but that the electoral vote will be basically a Clinton landslide.
I don't think the national vote will be close. However, if it is closer than I expect, I think Clinton's ground game overcomes that.
Okay. So, I'm sorry, tell me one more time. Was it 300 and how many?
So 334 for Clinton, 198 for Trump, 6 for McMullen.
Okay. Wow. All right. So, obviously this sets up one of us is going to be much closer. So
now, one thing that I thought through before we get to the Senate stuff, because I'm going to bring my kids to an election night party, and I need to think about when they might need to go home to go to bed. So I went through the poll closing times to figure out when might an election be called. Now, the tricky thing here is the last two elections were called at 11 p.m. and 11:12 p.m., and both for similar reasons. The networks are not going to officially call the election before 11 p.m. because they want the West Coast to vote. So even though the maps were quite clear before 11 p.m., they won't call it until 11 p.m. So I will make an extra prediction. I don't know if you want to join me with this, that we will have an official prediction at 11 p.m. sharp. But North Carolina is a 7:30 p.m. poll closing time. And that's definitely a state that has been leaning Clinton, but could still be very tight. And certainly, if Clinton did win North Carolina, Trump's map is basically impossible.
I'm giving on my map, I give Trump North Carolina, even though I have Hillary winning. So that's an example of that's an argument for you, I would say. The fact that I'm giving Trump North Carolina and I still have Hillary winning.
Now, in 2008, Ohio was called for Obama around 9:30, and that is another state with a 7:30 p.m. poll closing time. And it wasn't close. Ohio wasn't really close in 2008, at least at the point where they called it. I haven't looked back to see what the actual numbers were, but I saw a video where it was double digits at 9:30 and they called it.
Well, okay, so
if North Carolina is similarly not that close and gets called before 11, you can call it a day.
Well, I would say if Trump loses, Virginia, Pennsylvania, and either Ohio or Florida, then I would certainly say that it's over. Am I being too conservative by holding it to that standard?
No, I think any of these states, really must have Trump states on the East Coast. Ohio, North Carolina, Florida are the big three, and I don't think he needs all three of them. You can certainly make maps where he doesn't need all three.
If he wins, according to my map, if he wins Pennsylvania but loses North Carolina, it's a 269-269 tie.
Right. I kind of take Pennsylvania off the map and just for
you think there's no shot. You think there's no shot. See, I feel like Republicans get burned every time by Pennsylvania, and if I had to bet, I would certainly bet that Hillary will win it. I have Hillary winning it on my map. With that caveat, I would say there's a part of me that thinks there's a chance. And maybe it's the same part of me that gets fooled every 4 years. But there's something about Pennsylvania. It's like Ohio. Why would it be different than Ohio and West Virginia? I mean, it's just Philadelphia.
What's different is college-educated whites in the Philly suburbs. I mean, that's the firewall there. And
those are votes. Some of those votes, I think he pissed away. I mean, clearly, that he could have had some of those votes. So.
But if I'm wrong here and Pennsylvania is being reported as too close to call, then you're in for a longer night.
I mean, Pennsylvania, it's amazing. I mean, this will be obvious to the geeks out there who watch this show. But you look at the map. Pennsylvania has 20 electoral votes. Nevada, a much bigger state geographically, only has 6. So, that's like 3 times. Pennsylvania is like 3 times as valuable as Nevada. So if Trump were to flip Pennsylvania, it's a big deal.
If Trump took Pennsylvania, then he would be in a fantastic position.
And then, or Michigan too. Michigan's the other one, Bill. I've got Hillary winning Michigan, but I'm telling you, man, there's something about these Rust Belt states,
I mean, that's obviously where Trump's hope lies, because he thinks he can't win in the more diverse states: Virginia, Florida, Colorado, Nevada, and obviously Arizona could tip on those grounds too.
Trump was in. I think correct me if I'm wrong. I think Trump was in New Mexico a couple days ago. That's insanity. I mean, he should.
There's a thought there that if Gary Johnson overperforms, that it makes the state competitive, but there's not a lot of polling evidence of that.
I think he needs to be camped out in a couple of these states, including Michigan and maybe North Carolina and Pennsylvania. I don't think he can win. I live in Virginia. I think that the Northern Virginia vote is going to swamp him. I don't think I think it's probably it's like your theory about the suburban Philadelphia vote. I don't think Trump. In fact, this is maybe I'm just because I live there, but I think Trump has a better shot at winning Michigan than he does at winning Virginia.
Well, we need to get to Senate stuff soon because I need to jump in 10 minutes. But there's a Jim Messina op-ed today in the Times that talks about how professional campaigns don't make their decisions based on public polling anymore. They have a much richer set of data, which far bigger sample sizes based off of voter lists that guide their decisions. And if the Trump campaign doesn't have as refined an operation to make these last-minute decisions, and you get a blip in Virginia off a public poll, and you make a panic decision to rush over there, you're probably not using your time very well. Michigan as well strikes me as a state that it probably. I mean, we all agree he has a narrow path, so he should pick that narrow path and stick to it, and not spread himself thin in a bunch of states where it's a reach.
You got to make a bet. You got to make a bet on a theory of how you win, and you're making a bet. Let me ask you this, Bill. What do you think the odds are that we're wrong about some big state, that there'll be a surprise? Like maybe the surprise is that Clinton wins Texas or that Trump wins Michigan. Like, what do you think the odds are that everybody's wrong, basically, about some big thing?
Well, I would have had some thought of maybe a weird thing like Texas happening, before the Comey revelation, because I think the bottom would have to fall out. The bottom would have to fall out, and a bunch of Republicans just stay home because they're disgusted, and that throws off people's models. If both sides' bases are performing at least in the realm of expectations, then you're less likely to have a big surprise like that.
Yeah.
So let's shift to the Senate.
Yeah, I do look forward to next week's conversation. Honestly, I've been dreading, simultaneously dreading and looking forward to this being over for different reasons. But I am excited to. I think that the fact that this is like, if you're not that into sports, you can bet on games, and now you've got skin in the game. This makes it a little more fun. I'm glad we did this.
So
I think we should put some money. We should probably put some money down on it. I mean, not that we would really do that, but you call me afterwards, and we'll talk about that.
Okay. So on the Senate, so we're both saying Hillary wins the presidency.
Yes, we're both saying Hillary wins the presidency.
You could have a situation where she has coattails. It's a Democratic wave election, or it could be like 1996. Bill Clinton wins by 8.5 points, but Republicans were running hard on be a check against Bill Clinton in their messaging, and Democratic voters probably were somewhat complacent. His margin wasn't as big as what the polls were indicating, and in the case of 96, they kept the Senate. So are you on the scenario that the Democrats take the Senate, or that Senate goes in the opposite direction of the presidency?
I have been, until a week ago, I've been all over the place, but until a week ago, I was, my latest prediction until a week ago was that Democrats would take the Senate. I think that the big fallout from the Comey revelations will be that Republicans will now keep the Senate. I think that it will be, that just plays perfectly into the Republican narrative, the argument that you need to elect Republicans to be a check and balance on Hillary Clinton. So I am now predicting that Republicans will narrowly maintain control of the U.S. Senate with 51 Senate votes.
So which seats do they lose? Do Republicans lose, and do they gain any Democratic seats?
I have Republicans. I have Toomey losing in Pennsylvania. I have Ayotte winning in New Hampshire.
That's a hold.
I have Burr winning in North Carolina.
Another hold.
Portman winning in Ohio.
Another hold.
I've got Republicans picking up the Indiana seat with Todd Young defeating Evan Bayh.
Well, that's a hold then, right?
That's a hold. I've got Rubio winning Florida. That's a hold. McCain wins Arizona. That's a hold. I have Joe Heck winning, picking up the Harry Reid seat in Nevada.
Okay,
that's going to be a very close race, in my opinion. And
so what about Wisconsin, Illinois, and Missouri?
Okay, so Wisconsin, I have Ron Johnson losing. That's a dim pickup. Russ Feingold wins there. In Illinois, I have Mark Kirk losing. Tammy Duckworth wins there. What's the other one?
Missouri, Blunt versus Kander.
I have Blunt losing. Roy Blunt losing in Missouri.
So you have four Dem pickups.
Mm-hmm. Two Republican holds. Ayotte. Well, two of the highly contested races. I have Ayotte and winning, but I think the key to why I believe that Republicans are going to pull this off is in Nevada,
right?
Where I have Hillary winning Nevada, and I have Joe Heck narrowly winning the Senate, that open Senate seat there.
Okay, so I have a bigger Democratic wave envisioned, where I only have Republicans holding on to Ohio, Portland in Ohio, and Rubio in Florida. And I have to say, the CNN poll just came out yesterday. Rubio was only up by 1, but he's been up in every single poll. And Murphy certainly has his issues. He's taken out a fair amount of water. So I'm gonna count him out there. But I'm going to give Democrats pickups in the most obvious, Wisconsin and Illinois. I think the next most obvious is Pennsylvania. I think those three are pretty safe. Then it gets dicier after that, but I'm going to give it to Hassan in New Hampshire, Ross in North Carolina, Kander in Missouri, and Masto holding Reid's seat in Nevada. And I do that in the cases of Nevada, North Carolina, New Hampshire, on basis of ground game, Democratic ground game. And Missouri, I just think Kander's just run a fantastic campaign, and Blunt, I think, might suffer from being too Washington.
He's an establishment insider.
Yeah,
and
too lobbyist tied.
Donald Trump. Yeah, and not only is he his wife and 2 of his kids are lobbyists, I think. Right,
and so I give Indiana to Bai. I should mention that too. So I
you gave Indiana to Bai.
I mean, and definitely that race is close for the same reason why Missouri is close. Bai is to lobbyists tied, and I do think that's going to be a close race. But I think the Bai name will help him get it out.
All right, so we disagree on Indiana.
Yeah,
we
disagree on Indiana, North Carolina, New Hampshire, and Nevada.
Yeah.
So I end up with 53-47.
Okay. Well, I do look forward to finding out how this plays out. Now, I do take solace in the fact that although visionary and spotting trends, your predictions record hasn't always held up. So.
My prediction record is terrible. But I'm not going to go pessimistic and then lose and lose on that basis. I got to stay optimistic. I got to stick to what I know.
Well, you're actually following. No, you're following the same advice that you've given Donald Trump, which is to develop a theory and then stick to that theory.
That's right. That's right. So I will be that broken clock. I will be right twice.
You've taken your own advice, and the worst thing would be is to stake out this territory and then retreat from it, and then have it come true. You know? And then you sort of don't get credit either way. So
this is how I got burned with Jeb Bush. I followed the pattern. I thought Romney would get it in 2012 because the Tea Party right was rising, and I said, okay, I got that wrong. I'm going to adjust my prediction, adjust my assumptions, and then I got burned. So I'm not adjusting.
You know, it's funny. I just interviewed a guy. There's a guy who has a book out called Einstein's Greatest Mistake or Einstein's Biggest Mistake or something. And Einstein made the same exact mistake. He early on when he was young, he had a theory, and everybody said, no, you're wrong about that theory. So he revised it, and then it turned out he was right all along. So then later on, much later in his career, he had a theory, and people said, no, you're wrong. And he stubbornly stuck to it. And he's like, I'm not going to make that mistake again. I'm not going to change again. And this time he was wrong. So anyway, I don't want to compare you to Einstein. But you're both, brilliant in different ways.
Thank you, sir.
But you could be making Einstein did make that, according to the book, I don't know, Einstein's biggest mistake, Einstein's greatest mistake, whatever. Check it out on Matt Lewis in the News podcast. I interviewed this cat about that book. So, listen, I know it's hard to, without graphics, to follow along. So we're going to tweet from our Twitter handle at DMZ Show screenshots and links of these different predictions. So, so you can just sort of go there and follow along at home. Play along at home. And go to 270towin.com. Fill out your own
They didn't pay us for that. That's a free plug.
Or Real Clear Politics. Fill out your brackets and go ahead and tweet them at Bill Scher on Twitter. Let him know what where you agree and disagree, and then we can have some fun next week. I think next week will be a must-watch or listen-to show.
That's right. Hey, I'm up against the clock, Matt, so I have to jump.
All right. See you guys.
Take care.
Thanks, Bill.